Hello. Hello, hello, hello. How are you? I'm Chris of Chrissy's Over the Mountain Crochet and Crafts, or you can call me Chrissy. Anyway, so it's good to have you on my side of the mountain. If you're here and if you're here with me live, please leave a comment. I really would like to chat with you. There's a lot going on today. Leave me a comment. There is a comment contest at the end. You can leave me something like, we just got 3 inches of snow, which is what we did. We just got three, eh, maybe 2 inches of snow, and we haven't thawed out from the last one. But anyway, so I'm wearing the chemo cap because I'm going to show you in just a little while how to sew the big flower. Unbeknownst to me, I thought this was sewn on, but I had pinned it on with pins. So I'm going to take this off and show you how to sew it on. And when I take it off, I'm going to talk to you about the construction of how to put these flowers on. But I also, while I'm chatting, I also want to show you what we did on last week on the last live was I made this coffee cozy with a heart stitch live while while I was on the while I was live. I moved the camera, dropped the camera. It was a bit of a mess. But anyway, so I'm wearing my chemo cap because I want to show after I finish this sewing the flower on, I want to show you how this fits over top of a chemo cap. All right, let me check my YouTube here. Let me see. It says there are two watching. Please leave a comment and let me know where you're at. All right, Lorna Hayes. Lorna, you won on one of our lives and you won a membership, but the membership has closed. Please email me. I will give you 2 ebooks from my store in compensation for that because you were not able to you're getting dinner while you're watching. Okay, it's good to have you, Lorna. I don't know. Anyway, let's talk about the membership. But first, I want to say after I finish sewing this on, I'm going to put this on over the chemo cap so that you all can see how nice, what a difference it makes in my appearance. And I know it will in other folks' appearance. So, anyway, let's talk about the membership. I loved the idea of a small group of crafters and crocheters, folks that like to sew, folks that like to just do any kind of craft. A place where I can jump in. Hi, Deb. How are you? You're near Albany, Ohio. Okay. So you're getting snow or you've just gotten snow, right? So I wanted a crafting area or a group that I could have a small community. And I felt like adding value to lots of free crochet patterns. I felt like I should, ask a little bit of money for that. It's not unusual. A lot of people do that. And it helps have a little bit of skin in the game. If you pay a little bit, you're a little bit more apt to pay attention because I have 3,000 and some 3,100, 3,200. I'm not sure how many group members we have in Chrissy's Over the Mountain Crochet and Crafts group, but anytime I make a post, only 2 to 300 people see it. And I felt like having a small group where I could give out free crochet patterns would be fun. And it would be a place where I could jump in and say, hey, but because I'm asking people to pay for it, I kept in the back of my mind, I kept thinking, am I going to be able to keep up with this? I don't think I can keep up with this when the weather gets warm and when I want to go outside and plant flowers, I'm not going to be able to do this. So I had someone pay for a year's worth of membership. Now, whether her husband came through or she clicked a wrong button. I'm taking the high road. It doesn't matter to me. I would have given her a refund if she'd have just asked me for a refund. And because I'm not under the umbrella of Ravelry and Etsy, Ravelry and Etsy handle all of that money type of issue for me. And getting ready to turn 65. If I were in my 30s, I'd be like, well, okay. Anyway, so it was my own money transaction. So there was a fraud. whoever, I'm not going to say who it was, it doesn't matter because I'm not offended. So they filed a fraudulent charge against my payment processor. And when that happened, then it made me pause and think, this is a part of doing business. And am I ready for that part of business? Am I ready to have content bus, just pushing myself for content all summer long? And I'd been thinking before the fraudulent charge even came through, I'd been thinking, can I do this? And then that kind of answered my question. I know that's a part of doing business, but I don't want to do that kind of business. I like Ravelry and Etsy handling that sort of thing, and I want freedoms of not being tied to a group where I have to produce content all the time. If I need to take a break, I can take a break and not feel bad about it. Now, what I may do in the future, so let me pause. I closed both of those groups. I refunded everybody their money, and it should be at your place soon if it isn't soon. And I closed the groups. I didn't make any money off of those groups whatsoever. So I've refunded everybody and I've closed those groups. And what I may do in the future is I may open a group that is no pay, but is by invitation only, or you have to apply and I will approve. There will be questions that I will ask and things, but it may not be until fall. Although I might get excited and in a month or two open up, because I liked going into the advanced group and just stepping in there and going, "Hey, how are you? What do you think of this?" And bouncing ideas off of each other. We talked about a few things that I still want to do. I was going to make chemo caps, sew chemo caps live. I was going to do quite a bit of stuff. So I may still get excited and do that. I don't know. If not, I'm going to wait until October, and then it will be something called Chrissy's Elite Crochet and Crafting Group. I don't know, but you'll have to apply for it. But anyway, and I'm sorry to those of you that were a member that I closed it down. And please, if you haven't received your refund, let me check on it. I did see that all of the money has been taken out of my account. So if it's not at your place, it should be soon. All right. I also want to share with you, I'm really liking this heart stitch. And I got a lot done on my granddaughter's baby blanket, not blank, blanket. Anyway, I'm working on this. I don't know if you can see the shaping of it. Look at the bottom. It's not finished. I think I complicated the bottom of it just a little bit. But anyway, and then I tapered it up at the top. I know what this is going to be. It's not a basket. If you have any ideas, tell me where you think it is, what you think it is. I'll give you a hint. I'll shape it up just a little bit. It's going to be stuffed. And I'm going to put poly pellets in the bottom. I think it's going to be rather cute. Let me see if I can, without having the stuffing in it, let me see if I can get it to come together the way it's supposed to. Ah, come on. All right. And tell me, of course, it will look better if it's stuffed. Tell me if that gives you any kind of hint as to what it is. Anyway, it's really cute. It'll be really cute when it's stuffed, I think. All right, so there's that. Let me toss that out of the way so it's not in the way. And let me toss these coffee cozy cups out of the way so it's not in the way. I'm going to throw those on my, perfect. All right, so I am here today to demonstrate to you. If you have any questions about the group, just comment. All right, let's see who else is here. Come on, leave me a comment if you're here. All right, I'm going to take this off and show you what it looks like on the back. I truly did not realize I had this pinned on. This one is sewn on. Let me show you how. If you can see, there is a piece of felt right there, and it is sewn on with needle and thread. There's a vintage pin in the center. I was gonna say, is that a pin? Yep, and it's not missing any stones. I don't think it was signed. I looked for it. I try not to use really nice jewelry for this type of thing. But boy, and then there's some black fuzz from some yarn. This these flowers were pretty. They're flocked and they have glitter on them. I really liked these flowers. All right, so I made these two hats. Now this one is pinned on. Let me take the pin out. Where am I going to stick? I'm going to stick that right there so that it doesn't end up in the floor. There's another pin. Where is it? Okay, I see it. Now, when I'm am making a hat that I want to add, and these are good for chemo caps. As you can see, these are good to donate to a cancer center because, as you can see, they're rather heavy. But there's the flower that is on there, and the bump. There is sometimes a little bit of a bump on the inside, and the bump can irritate someone's scalp. So that's why this is sewn on. Okay, so I have partially sewn this on. I just didn't get the whole. No, it is totally sewn on. It is totally sewn on. I had left some pins in it. I can clip this off really easy. Let me talk to you while I'm clipping this off because I do want to show you how to sew this on. I used gray thread, by the way. And today I have pink because I wanted it to stand out. I don't know if any of you all ever watched Sewing with Nancy on PBS. I loved watching her. And she would do demonstrations and contrasting thread and contrasting fabric so that you could see the stitching. So I'm using pink today so that you can use the stitching. All right, so this is what the back of this flower looks like. Let me hold that real still. Let me take those. There is a piece of felt. I put a piece of gray felt on the back. Let me get those threads out of there and I'll walk you through the process. So I have a flower, a couple of flowers back here. So I like to get flowers that are very nice, like on one stem. I got these at Hobby Lobby a while ago. And there's usually a center that I can easily put a piece of vintage jewelry. This is pretty, although I think it's really vintage and I'm not going to use that. Let me see. I pulled out my mom's vintage jewelry and I thought, no, I can't. There's no way. And I have a whole box here. Oh, look, here's a little K. Maybe, whoops, let's put that up right. Maybe I should put a little K in my flower. Isn't that pretty? A little K. Can you see that? It's not going to stay up there. Anyway, so how I get so I like these large flowers with a center that I can add beads. I can add vintage jewelry. But when I have to deconstruct this a little bit, each flower by each company is made in a different way. And I have learned over the years that you can sometimes, big thing is you have to thumb on the bottom, fingers in the center, and you have to hold on to the flower because sometimes when you remove them from the stem, the flower just totally falls apart. So here's what I do. If I need to, I go in with wire cutters, any kind of wire cutters. These are like jewelry wire cutters. and I'll pull this back. I don't want to take this off because I'm afraid it'll fall apart. I'll pull this back until I can expose the wire or whatever is holding it on, and then I clip it off. But I'm holding on to the flower the whole time. Then I start peeling back layers. Like I've just peeled back that layer and there's plastic in there, and I stick glue down in there, and then I rotate it and I try to get as many layers hot glued together as I can. Then once I have the flower off, let me toss that onto my bed. Woo! Perfect shot. Then once I have the flower off, I usually embellish with feathers. Um, you've seen a lot. I don't know if you've seen a lot of my hats. Hello, Cameron. Okay, Cameron Redhead. All right, 1993. Yes, you won a membership, Cameron. And I am sorry, Natalie Bruce. You're Natalie Bruce on Facebook, and I was so confused. Cameron, I am so sorry. I have closed down the groups. You'll have to watch the replay to understand, or I'll explain it again. But because I've closed down the groups and you didn't get an opportunity, and Lorna did not get an opportunity to go into the groups and get the free patterns, you can have 2 ebooks from my shop. And it was a good reason why I closed down the groups. Now, I may open an elite group in the future. I'm not sure. But anyway, in order to um, decorate this, I decorate the back of it. I kind of put everything together. I lay it out. I decide what kind of flowers. Sometimes I want a fan of lace. And if I want a fan of lace, then I pleat my lace, put it on there, and then glue it in place. Then the waiting on the train hat that I have in my Etsy shop, it has a real big fan, lace fan, and then I've also put peacock feathers and ostrich plumes out from the side, and it is so pretty. I sold so many of those at craft shows and online, and a chemo patient would love to have something like that to wear over top of a tight fitting chemo cap. I'm glad you're here too, Cameron. Thank you for coming. And when you said Cameron, that sounded familiar to me on Facebook. If you just said Cameron Redhead, that would have really jogged my memory. So I'd been calling out saying, "Oh, I have a couple of winners." And then at the beginning of the week, I realized I'm going to have to close the group, and I'm sorry. But anyway, so then I put any kind of feathers or any kind of flowers, and I just glue them in place. I leave that big plastic calyx that's on the back, and I glue everything to that. Then I take a piece of felt. After I've put all of the embellishments on the flower, I put a piece of felt on the back, and I just glue that really hard in place. And then if you want, you can leave the front empty. You don't have to put vintage jewelry, but man, I think that looks so nice. All right, so now you have everything's dried, everything's loose. Now you have this piece of felt all the way around, and you place it on the hat. You just use pins just like I did. You put it on the hat where you're comfortable. I always try to pay attention to where the seam of the hat is. I want the seam to be toward the back or close to one side, so that whichever side you wear the flower on, the seam is not going to be real visible. And I can tell by all the thread tails that are still here. I really thought I had not sewn this on because I could still see the pins in it. Then um, you take your flower and your feathers, and you look at your hat and you decide, how do you want this placed? And I want the feathers to be toward the back. I don't want them to be straight up. I want them either to be toward the back this way or toward the back this way. And then I'm paying attention to how the brooch is. And so then I don't want the leaf, I didn't want the leaf to poke down. Let's see, I want the leaf to be at the edge. Then I will take those pins, and I'll just put some heavy duty pins right through the flower petals to help hold that in place. This is kind of hard. I'm not going to lie. This part is hard, but it can be done. All right. There's that one. Let me get one on this other side. I'm going through I'll show you here in just a second. I'm going through approximately 4 or 5. I went through 4 or 5 layers of flowers. Now I pick it up and I'm like, is that where I want it to be? And that looks good. Then I take a large needle because sometimes you go through the whole flower petals. If you're shy, if you feel like it doesn't lay right after you sew it on, you can just go through and catch the felt. But if it starts tipping down, sometimes it will tip down. You're going to need to go through all those flower petals and sew that down. So I use a rather large needle. I don't know if you can see the needle sizes that I have right there, but I'll be using the largest needle that is in this packet. And then the most important thing I will use is needle nose pliers to push the needle through because, well, I'm telling you what, sometimes it can get stuck and it hurts your fingers, and you can use those needle nose pliers to just get everything through. So I use a double strand of thread. Let me thread my needle. Whoops. Here we go. I still need to put the sourdough. I just mixed up a bunch of bread, and here we have a snowstorm, and we're not going to be able to have the event. But I need to put the sourdough starter and the recipe in the group that I mentioned that I was going to put in there. And I use a rather long strand, as you can tell. Then I will start from underneath. I will start from underneath and I will just start catching the felt. And I've hit a piece of glue, so I need the needle. So I need the needle nose pliers to push it through. That's not going to work. I'm going to back out. Sometimes the glue will get on the needle. Let me try a different angle here so you can see. I'm going to just catch. I'm going in too deep. That's what it is. I'm just going to catch the outer edge of the felt. There we go. Can you see it the needle going through? But I'm going to go back down inside really quick. And I'm going to run that needle through the knot. Can you see where I put it through the knot? So because that knot will just go right straight through that yarn without any trouble at all. Let me move the lid from my vintage jewelry. All right, so I have that secure. So I have that secured underneath. And now I'm going to come back up from underneath again. Look at my. And I'm just catching that felt. And I really hank down on it. And then I'll go around and I will try to. I'll take a back stitch. This is a hard position to be in, honestly. I'll take a back stitch. I'll try to make a more formal, and then I'll loop the, what do you call that? Make it, is that really is that a knot? But anyway, and then I will do that all the way around and then I'll test it. And once I get the flower sewn on and I test it, let me take this one off and put this one on. And I test it. And if it's going to flop, I want to show you how it flops. I guess it's not flopping. But if it were to flop, see, if you look at this side, it's going to be exposed. Then you can go down through and put the needle down in the flower petals, or if it's flopping too far this way, you just pull a few petals back and then sew down. Did that help you all any? I hope that helped you guys. Let me know what you think. Hey, I want to give away the ebook for my Shamrock. Is it my Shamrock stitches? I think there's 9 crochet patterns that have all of my Shamrock designs in it, or my St. Patrick's Day designs. Did you all see the St. Patrick's Day bucket hat? I really like that hat. I made one for my grandson while I was in South Carolina one time. But very chic. Thank you, Cameron. So I have several ebooks, Cameron and Lorna. Look through my Ravelry. Let me put my Ravelry. Thank you, Lorna. Lorna says that helps. Let me put my Ravelry link here. And you guys go through. And Lorna and Cameron, I don't know why I didn't see your email. The email that I gave, which was Chrissy at Chrissy's Over the Mountain Crochet. It's Chrissy at Chrissy's Over the Mountain Crochet.com is my email. Let me write that down again for you. And then I'll be looking for it. And in the title, put ebooks, and then I'll know they are from you, Lorna and Cameron. All right, here is my Ravelry link. Thank you, Deb. Deb says that helps a lot. All right, here is my Ravelry shop. You can go in and choose 2 ebooks, and I will gift those to you. And then this is my email. It's Chrissy at Chrissy's over the mountain crochet.com. I'm not sure if I wrote that down wrong or not. A while back, they made us all, anyone who had a newsletter, they made us get a verified email. And that's what that is, a verified email. Chrissy at Chrissy's over the mountain crochet.com. It doesn't look like a standard email, does it? Most people have AOL or Hotmail or Gmail, but that's my email for my business. Now, well, thank you. Hey, does anybody have any guesses on? Let me go grab my little thing that I threw over there. See if you guys can guess. What do you think this is going to be? It has hearts on it, and it may not come out in time for Valentine's Day. I don't know. I'm trying to be realistic, but I have a few videos I need to make. I need to make the video for this hat. I need to make the video for this hat. I need to make the video for the cup cozy. I have a lot I need to do, but wouldn't these will be cute together to give as gifts. Anyway, is there anything that that you'd like to ask me before I choose? And I'll just do what I've done in the past before I choose who gets the Shamrocks ebook. I think you said the other day questions, a support for. Lorna, I'm not sure what you're asking me. Oh, an iPad? I'm not sure. I probably need an iPad, but I don't have an iPad. Um, anyway, I'm going to give this a little scroll. I've got a few comments, not too many, not as many as in the past. I've got a few comments. I'm going to give it a little scroll, and then I'm going to use my finger and I'm going to choose someone. What I'm not supposed to look. I'm going to choose someone to win the Shamrocks ebook. Here we go. Here I go. I'm pushing. Okay, my finger just touched, and it's Deb Carnes. Deb Carnes, you are the winner of the Shamrocks ebook. Now I have to sew this back on, but I can do that for a demonstration for the video. And my head is getting hot. All right. Whew. Okay. Well, anyway, it was good to have you guys on my side of the mountain. If you have any questions, Deb, you can email me at chrissy@chrissysoverthemountainCrochet.com. And I'll send you the ebook. I'll either send it through Ravelry or I'll attach it to the email. But I know and I am kind of, I'm not sad that I had to close the groups. I'm just sad that I don't have that place to run to anymore. So, like I said, I may open an elite crochet group, crochet and crafting group, or just a crafting group. And if I would ask questions, or it would just be by invitation only, it would be someone who's really interested in crafting and sewing and crocheting. And so, anyway, all right, you are welcome, Deb and Cameron. You're so good to say congratulations. Thank you. But go look at my head. Does your head itch when you wear hats? Anyway, all right. Well, it was good to have you. I see my top fans. My number one top fan is Cameron, and my number two top fan is Lorna, and then my number three is Deb. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate you so much. It was good to have you on my side of the mountain. You all take care. Bye.